Hi, everybody. Once again, welcome to another edition of Business Spotlight. And today we're talking to Dan Pohl. And Dan, you're kind of a kindred spirit in the fact you love music. You love studios. Obviously, look around. I'm looking at your studio, you know, the modern studio. I was talking to Dan just a few minutes ago about how when I first got into radio, we were doing old records and reel-to-reels and cart machines and all the other stuff we had back in the day. And then when we got CDs, we were like, wow, this is great.
Right.
And everything's computerized. And, you know, you can do, now we can do voice work, we can do music all over the world because of high-speed internet and everything else that's going on.
Absolutely.
So I understand that, now, first off, it's Dan Pohl Music.
Yes, sir.
All right, obviously you're into music, and it's a studio you've got set up here in Walterboro, actually, but you call it the Barn, right?
Yes, sir.
The music barn.
The Barn Studio.
The Barn Studio,
Yep.
there we go. And while you're here, you can reach out all over the world now. All right, tell us a little bit about what you do and what Dan Pohl Studios is all about. Music.
Sure,
Dan
absolutely.
Pohl.
Yep.
Right.
Well, I'm a full production studio, so that means we can do everything from full band. You know, we can record drums, guitars, all the instruments here, all the way down to a vocal, something acoustic. I do a lot of remote work, as you said,
Right.
Online. That allows me to connect with people, you know, overseas, which I do a good bit. But also right here local, which I have a big heart for the community.
Right,
It's called the Barn Studio because we're here on my small horse farm off the side of my barn. The studio is actually on my property.
Which is absolutely gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you.
I was driving up this morning, and we just looked out. We had a beautiful day this morning.
Yes.
And I drove up, looking around, going, boy, this is really, this is God's country.
It is.
And so I understand your wife has a love of horses.
Yes, sir.
One of the reasons why you came out this way. And, of course, you have a love of music, and that's why you've got the studios set up. Tell us a little bit, of course, like you said, we're doing stuff all over the world now. But what's your main highlight? Do you work with people who are up-and-coming musicians? Do you teach as well?
Yes, I do a little bit of everything. A niche that I have is working with artists who have maybe tried the bigger thing, gone to Nashville or done things in big commercial studios and kind of gotten burned. You know, with either the financial part of it or with people who are just shuffling them through and don't care. And they come to me, and I genuinely do care. I want this to sound as good as you want it to sound.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
So I want to put the time in. I want to work with you and create something. So that seems to be a little niche that I've kind of found, and that helps me to keep, you know, artists returning, and kind of be a, you know, I want to be comfortable and safe and, you know, a fun place.
Right.
So I do that. I also teach. Piano and keyboards are my main instrument. I've been playing since I was, you know, 6 or 7 years old. So that I do teach.
Well, speaking of teaching now, I'm assuming all age groups, but if somebody was like has a child that they want to learn, you know, teach them how to play like a piano, organ, that sort of thing, what do you say, when do they need to start?
I say about 7 or 8 is when we can start the kind of the one-on-one piano training. And there are exceptions to that, obviously, you know, but typically I find about 8 years old is a good starting point.
8 years old to kind of see whether they have the talent and what you can work with.
Right, and they have the attention span to actually sit.
That's true. Well, that's a lot to be said about that.
That's true.
You know, no doubt about that. Now, what about an old dog that wants to come learn some new tricks? If somebody later in life decides, you know, hey, you know, I've always wanted to try.
Right.
Have you had any luck trying to teach somebody that's further down the line?
I love that. Yes, I love that. I get that occasionally. Some older guys, and I love that too because they want to learn the Beatles or they, you know, something, the music that I love and grew up listening to.
Right.
So I love that, and the way I teach too, it's off the bat we're learning something that you enjoy. Like first lesson, what kind of stuff you like? Beatles? Hey, here's Let It Be, and here's how to play it, and you're going to leave the first lesson kind of knowing that kind of stuff. So I try to make it fun because I hated piano lessons as a kid.
Well, I was just getting ready to say what you just said is I think 90% of the battle. You know, let them enjoy what they're doing as they learn, and it just becomes fun versus a chore.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what it takes to really become proficient at anything is just do something you really love and keep working at it and try and get better. You know, obviously there's a level of talent involved as well, but that's got to be rewarding seeing those people start from scratch and then work their way up.
It is. Yep, it's fun. Teaching and also producing music from scratch. You know, somebody's like, "Hey, I wrote this song, but I don't know what else to do with it." That's my passion right there. Is like, oh, let's sit down and talk about this. What can we add in? You know, so seeing something start from scratch, and build it up is a huge passion of mine.
And with the modern studios that we have now, you know, there's so much that can be done You know, realistically, versus what used to take, you know, tons and tons and tons of tape, you know, back in the old days, and multiple takes. Now can be honed down and cleared up and cleaned up, I should say, and just really put out a world-class product.
Absolutely, yes. The tools that are available to us are unbelievable. You know, for things can be released so quickly in a very professional manner, and that's also, you know, even though you know, if I'm working with you and this is your first song you've done, or you're kind of newer at it, like, we're still going to make a professional product.
Right,
you know?
right.
It doesn't matter that you're inexperienced. Like, I'm going to help with that process and get you where you need to be.
And it's, you know, I think sometimes the comfort zone can help with the process as well. You know, you go into some of those major studios, you know, it's like hurry up, we got to hurry up and get this done. You know,
Right.
you know, time is money, blah blah blah. You know, been there, seen that. You know, that sort of thing. And this seems like you could actually, with working with you, have more time to actually develop. You know, and work that out. Now, if somebody wanted to actually contact you, Dan, and say, listen, you know, I want to learn, you know, about how to play the piano, or I've got this song that I just wrote. Can you help me hone it down and make it better? What's the best way for them to contact you?
danpohlmusic.com would be the way to go. My email is on there. There's a, you know, button you can click. I have an Instagram, Dan Pohl Music on Instagram. You can, you know, send me a message through there as well. But website would be the best way.
Yeah, once again, you're simpatico, a person after my own heart, because I've loved music since I could basically walk. And I actually, you know, I hate to admit I'm getting this old, but my sister was a huge Beatles fan. And when they first played on the Ed Sullivan in 1964, I was 5 years old.
All right.
But I remember it well.
All right.
I remember it well because my sister was so enthralled with seeing the Beatles. So actually, I got to see the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show live.
Oh, wow.
Back in '64. And to repay the favor later in life, I was able to carry my sister to see Paul McCartney and Wings play, you know, with some good seats and all that.
What a good memory, yeah. That's fantastic.
You know, kind of the circle of life, how things work. But
Yes.
but anyway, so yeah, I've been a music fan for a long time, and you know, sometimes you wish we would have had studios like this back in the day,
Right.
but they're available now.
Yes.
And so if somebody wanted to hear some of your product, is it also on your website?
That's it. Yep. The website has some like example work, some of the songs that I've done, but also I'm happy to send more things if they, like, you know, want to. And I, you know, I'm not a money grabber. If you want to come in the studio and hang out for a day and we talk and see if we're a good fit,
Right.
let's do it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, can't ask for anything better than that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, we've been talking about music, but, you know, also, you know, obviously I've been doing a lot of voice work all my life, you know, doing voice work for radio stations, TV stations, that sort of thing. If somebody wants to try that, you do that as well, right?
Sure. Yep. Absolutely. There's a couple of podcasts that people come here and I record that as well. Really, any type of recording I can get done for you.
So if somebody wants to start a podcast, they can do it with you here.
I could. Yep.
Wow.
I could.
Wow, okay. You know, once again, in today's world, you can reach out
Anything's
through
possible.
through the internet. You know, once again, teaming up with PRTC with high-speed internet.
Right.
You know, it's amazing what we're able to do right now. Well, Dan, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. We're talking to Dan Pohl Music, and we're calling the barn the
Barn Studio.
The Barn Studio. We're talking to Dan from the Barn Studio. What a great place to be. What a great atmosphere. If you're into music, if you want to learn piano, if you want to do anything when it comes to recording, we're going to be talking more with Dan in just a few moments. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Business Spotlight on PRTC. We'll be right back. Once again, welcome back to a Business Spotlight on PRTC. And speaking of PRTC, Dan, I got to give a shout out to the guy behind the actual cameras
Definitely.
right now, Jason Cook.
Yeah.
Now, Jason and I and you were talking about the fact that Jason's actually, his latest album was recorded right here in the studios.
That's right.
And Jason, I mean, is a fantastic musician, singer, musician, writer, the whole nine yards. And so tell me a little bit about, you know, first off, Jason coming in, doing the voice, you know, doing all the production and all that. And so anyway, once again, he's a world-class talent.
Absolutely. Our very own local legend, Jason Lee Cook.
Yeah.
We connected, you know, maybe a couple years ago on a song. I think you want to do like a song or two. We came in and we connected, and We love working together, and we've gone, I mean, probably 15 songs plus we've done here. I mean, we just are constantly working on stuff. You know, he's a very creative guy.
It is.
So he's got several singles out that we've done together, and he's got a full album coming up
That's
that we've done
fantastic.
here, and yeah,
That's
very
fantastic.
excited.
Hey, speaking of performing and singing and songwriting and all that sort of thing, I understand you guys have a band. You're in a band as well. Obviously, you're playing keyboards.
Yes, sir.
But what's the name of the band?
Velvet Bay.
Velvet Bay.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And you do a lot of weddings and that sort of thing?
We do, yep. We are a premium events band.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we do a lot private events, weddings, corporate parties, charity events, things like that.
Gotcha.
Based out of Charleston, essentially. A lot of the people that play in the band with me there also help me out here in the studio. Kind of my session players bring them in, so it's all connected.
You know, that's once again, one hand washes the other.
Right.
That whole, you know, it's funny how that works out, you know, especially with musicians. Once you get together, it becomes that club, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Speaking of which, Vinyl Music School, we were
sir.
talking about that, obviously during the break, he did a little shirt change, if you will, and we want to promote a little bit about Vinyl Music School. Tell us
Yes,
about
sir.
it.
Vinyl Music School is launching soon. Me and my wife have a big heart for the community, and my passion obviously is music. One of her passions is students and providing a place for students to express themselves. And there are some great outlets for sports and other things, but we want to provide a very welcoming, fun, exciting place to offer music lessons. So what it's going to offer is one-on-one, 30-minute lessons. Starting off, it's going to be me as the instructor.
Right.
I'm going to teach piano, a little bit of guitar, probably some ukulele, and then we're going to be adding on instructors as we progress and add instruments, drums, vocals. We want to really expand. So.
You know, do you find as a teacher that somebody who's already somewhat proficient at a guitar can pick up like a mandolin or banjo a little quicker than somebody who's never really played a stringed
I
instrument?
think it definitely does translate over, and that's why we offer ukulele. It's kind of a good. There's the ukulele's got a lot of one finger, two finger chords,
Right.
which kind of translates well to like prep you for guitar if that's something you want to do eventually. And it's just a fun instrument in itself. But
Well, good deal. But once again, you're working with now. If somebody wants to do like you said, the one-on-one lessons, all right, is there a way where they can? I mean, are there different packages? I mean, like you come in for one session, you come in for 10 sessions. How does that work?
yeah, good question. Right now we're doing a monthly rate, flat monthly rate, every month, and that gets you once a week, a 30-minute lesson.
Okay.
And in some weeks there's 3 weeks in the month, some there's 5, so it kind of evens out. So we operate on the full year calendar.
I got you.
So we try to make it simple, just a one rate, and you come in every week. And we're going to start meeting at St. Jude's Church downtown.
Okay.
They're very generous to us, letting us rent some space with some classrooms and a little lobby area to make it nice. And it'll be great.
So now the truth is, and we were talking a little bit about this earlier, is that repetition, practice, especially when you're first starting out, learning the chords, learning the chord changes, learning how to be able to make those chord changes while you're also down here doing the finger picking and that sort of thing. So it's that makes sense to have that weekly come in and work at least 30 minutes, but really obviously when they're starting out, hopefully they're back at home doing a lot of practice in between sessions too.
Right. I hope they're putting in time every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes. That's what it
Right.
takes. But once again, we were talking earlier, it's got to be something you really love. It's got to be a
Right.
passion. And music can be a passion. Funny thing about music, and a lot of people will say this, and they'll say, well, man, I never forget when I first heard you play one song, such and such, such and such. And it's amazing how music can bring back certain memories, of your life. Just like I told you earlier about, hearing the Beatles, seeing the Beatles in 1964. But multiple things you can go through your life thinking about, man, I remember when I heard this song and I was doing this and I was there.
Absolutely.
And it's also good therapy. I mean,
It is.
they sometimes it can, they say music can calm the savage beast. Well, it can definitely get in your heart and calm you down sometimes.
Right.
And I've read studies that they say people that have like Alzheimer's and stuff later in life, a lot of the music will still stay with them after a lot of other parts of their, mental capability are starting to fade.
Yes.
So just something to think about, music.
Absolutely. And we definitely want to make it fun, like you said, and exciting. So the same thing I said earlier, the way we're going to teach is student-led in a sense of you come in, first lesson, what do you enjoy listening to? Country music, you like Lainey Wilson or whatever it is. Cool, let's grab some Lainey Wilson songs, and I'm going to show you how to play the song with teaching you some theory and teaching you like about the piano or the guitar. You're going to enjoy it hopefully the whole time. And we're big on performance is another thing. We want to teach how to play and sing and perform, so we want to get involved in the community and provide some spaces for our students to, maybe it's an open mic night or somehow in the community out doing things and using this skill and sharing the music.
The first time you get on stage, it can be a little overwhelming if you haven't had a chance to practice and get good at it. Know that you're prepared.
Definitely.
When you get on stage.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Exactly. Well, Dan, once again, impressed with everything you're doing here. Is there anything that we haven't hit on that we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all. I pride myself on genuinely caring about people and artists and students, and I would love to meet people. I'd love to talk with anybody that wants to talk and see how I can help you.
All right. Well, Dan, once again, it's a pleasure meeting you.
You as well. Thank you.
And thank you for working with our buddy Jason and all the music he puts out. That's fantastic. And thank you for being in our community. Yes. I mean, this is a big boon to Walterboro and the Walterboro area. Obviously, you're working out of here, but you're also Charleston, really all over the world now.
Yes.
So it's Dan Pohl Studios, music. Dan Pohl Music, and we're calling it the Barn Studios.
Yep,
there we go. And of course, we'll have all your information up on our on the camera here in just a minute on the screen. Absolute pleasure talking with you, Dan.
You too.
And thank you for everything you do, my friend.
Thank you very much.
All right. Once again, we have been talking with Dan Pohl. And what a pleasure! What a pleasure! If you're thinking about learning music, maybe you already know, how to play guitar. Maybe you already know how to play piano, but you want to put it all together and get it recorded. Call Dan. Get in contact with Dan. You're going to be in good hands. Speaking of good hands, I want to thank our friends over at PRTC with their high-speed internet to help bring you today's Business Spotlight with Dan. For PRTC and Dan and Jason Cook, I'm Miles Crosby. Thanks for joining us.